Title gives most of the story. 20-something guy comes into the bicycle shop. I managed to buy a bike. Pays in cash. It wasn't a very expensive bike and we still get a ton of people who pay in cash, so it didn't raise any red flags. The next day a young woman about the same age comes in with the bike and starts chewing us out because we let her boyfriend use their rent money to buy a bike. We explained that we couldn't possibly have known that was the situation. She wants to return it, which is fine, but we deposit our cash every night and don't have enough on hand to return that much in cash. And our policy is any cash returns over $50 are either done on a gift card or we have to get our main office to cut and mail a refund check. She starts freaking out that rent is due before she'd get the check. So I call the office manager and get approval to use one of the few checks I keep on hand for contractors or other service providers. The woman is still livid and insists on cash. I explain again that even if I went outside our policy, I don't have enough cash on hand to do the return in cash. She finally takes the check and leaves. Couple hours later I get alerted to a 1-star Google review from her with a completely fabricated story about our terrible service. It was one of the few times the owners let me respond to a review with a less than apologetic tone while describing the actual event. I work the self-check a lot and it can be very slow and boring in the morning. I bring a black notebook with me to work and park myself at one of the small coolers to use as a writing surface. This helps pass the time and my managers like it since I'm not on my phone but obviously still available for customers. One morning it was somewhat busy, but everyone agreed it would decline help. I ended up going back to my writing, pausing every few seconds to look up and scan the area to make sure everything was going smoothly. An older guy came up to use the register next to me, and as is customary I smiled at him. Me, hey sir, did you want me to do that for you? Guy, no it's okay, I got it. Me, okay. I stepped to the side to give him some space and went back to my writing. I was stuck on a paragraph and not sure how to continue. At this point the guy started giving a weird side eye, which I thought was strange, but didn't say anything. Me, after a moment goes back to writing. Guy, looks over at me in mild panic. Me, thinking he needs help, I'm sorry sir, I didn't mean to ignore you. Did you need anything? Guy very hastily no. Me, gives him a confused look and then goes back to my writing. Guy, starts getting clearly more agitated and starts outright glaring at me. Me, now I'm starting to get a bit uncomfortable since I don't know why he's acting like this. Yes. Guy, what are you doing? Me, sir, I'm just writing. Guy, you're freaking me out. Me, confused, I'm just working on a story, if you need help just ask. Guy, gives me a furious glare. Me, really not sure what else to say. Guy, you're freaking me out, motions to my notebook writing about me. Me, this. Turns my notebook around so he can read it. Guy, scans what I wrote and gives me a dirty look. Me, at this point I just move off to the side because I don't know what else to say to him. The guy then proceeded to stalk off, casting me another glare as he left. I ended up setting my notebook down and kind of just meandering around the front of the self-check until my shift ended. This happened last night. We were closing up shop and ready to go home. There was a couple of people at our lottery machine after we closed the store, which we made clear to them that we're closed, and so we had to leave. One of them leave, but this lady, Karen, decided not to. She started asking for another $1 to use on the lottery machine because hers was ripped. We told her we couldn't give her one and that she'd have to leave because we're closed. She began to argue with us that she was a customer making a purchase. Yeah, no, that's not how that works. Again, I told her that we're closed and she needs to leave. She said she's not leaving until she gets what she wants. I told her that she either needs to leave or I will call the cops, as she is trespassing. She tells me to go ahead, and once again repeats her line that she's a customer making a purchase. Again, no, you're not. Eventually, we began to call for one of the night stock crew to come up and escort this lady out of the store, at which she left, but not before dropping the old classic "I'm never shopping here again" line. Good riddance, I say. I work at a popular bookstore chain in the US. It was about 4 hours into my shift and not a ton was happening. Out of the corner of my eye, an older woman comes up to my till with a dark object in her hands. I put on my clicked customer service voice and face, "Good afternoon. How may I help you today?" To my horror, she plops down a dead black pigeon on my counter and says, "Pray for the bird." In my 3.5 years of retail this has never happened to me. My mouth agape, I stammer out, "Wait, what?" Without a word she turns and walks out. I spent 10 minutes deep cleaning the counter and had my coworker, who always wears gloves, dispose of the poor creature. I hope his spirit haunts the lady. Sometimes, you can only sigh and move on. Yesterday, I was operating the service desk where I work. Nothing I haven't done before, it was an easy enough area, if you know what you're doing. We sell and redeem lottery at the service desk, so I had accumulated a small line of people with various returns and lottery redemptions, so my brain was on autopilot trying to get people through as quickly as possible. I greet this customer warmly and he's redeeming lottery, scratch tickets. As I'm verifying them in the lottery machine, I notice it smells of tobacco. I think nothing of it and I assume the tickets were around tobacco smoke for long enough to absorb the smell. As I'm giving him his change, I vaguely notice that there is what appears to be a cigarillo hanging from his mouth. I've already processed the transaction and I'm moving on to the next person when it finally processes. The customer had a lighted cigarillo in the store, at my service desk area. I was smelling tobacco because he had been smoking. Obviously this isn't allowed, but since I hadn't noticed before he was gone from my area, I had already missed my opportunity to say something. It wasn't releasing a lot of smoke or anything, it's just generally not something you want to do inside a store. We really get all types. So this is an old story, few years ago at best. I work at a gas station in a state where you can't pump your own gas. It's winter and freezing cold outside. People's windows, doors, and gas tank doors are frozen shut. One lady pulls up and her window is frozen shut, she's on the other side of the car, her tank is on the passenger side so it's facing the pump. She's waving her hand to open the door. Not feeling comfortable opening the door, I come around to her side of the car where she can open her own door to give me the card. She still waves her hands to open her door. When I do, she says, "How many times do I have to tell you to open the door?" As I take her card to put it in the pump, she says I'm a f***ing moron, and that second I stopped in my tracks and was so pissed I considered throwing the card at her and telling her to get her gas somewhere else. I wish I kept walking and rang her up. Apparently though I was so pissed I didn't even put the pump in the car before walking away. I didn't notice till I turned around. She didn't seem to notice, however she didn't bring it up anyway.